Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ariel Herrera, and this is my FMA2 Part 2 video. And this is to evaluate my FMA1 social mobilization or social marketing project using the adapter framework. So let's begin. In FMA1, my topic was about the Singapore's Kindness Movement or SKM. The objective of this movement was to build a gracious Singapore society to complement the country's economic achievements. The movement had different programs and initiatives that impacted the society from different age groups, from kids to adults, and people of different lifestyles and professions. Now let's talk about the created framework adapter. In FMA2 Part 1, the adapter framework was introduced. It was coined based on the idea that social programs must adapt to the community. And just like an adapter, social marketing or social mobilization programs should work and interconnect with different elements in order to accomplish or meet a common objective. And now, without further ado, let's take a look at the SKM movement using the adapter lens. Let's talk about the first letter in the adapter framework, letter A, which stands for analyze. Analyze means to understand the problems and note what influences the problems. This can be the local beliefs, values, or practices. This is also to understand the perspective of the target audience and to identify unfulfilled demands. This is also to know what actions are being done, which ones are effective, and which can be integrated. Now let's take a look at SKM using Analyze. So what problems did SKM try to overcome or resolve? First of them was public complacency. Many residents believed that they were already kind enough and there was no reason to be even show further kindness. Second was there were neighborly disconnects. In fact, over 80% of the Singaporeans faced barriers in connecting with their neighbors, and there was lack of community bonding. Third, kindness was seen as a luxury perception, and that you can only be kind during the good times. And if you have problems, you should fix your issues first before showing any graciousness to others. For cyberbullying, this was due to lack of digital mindfulness among the youth, and there was a need to educate younger generation on being cyber friendly or cyber kind. And last was Singapore was like seen as an increasingly angry and disagreeable society, and that Singapore was like a social environment described as increasingly hostile. Now let's go to the second letter, define objectives. This is to construct a compelling case for the leadership and to unify diverse stakeholders. This is to manage resources strategically and to maximize impact for behavior change. This is to target precise audience groups through segmentation. Now, using the define lens, let's try to understand more about SKM. So what was the objective of the SKM? So the first one, of course, was to answer the call of then Prime Minister Goh Chok Tong. And it was actually a national call to build a gracious Singapore. Then next was to strengthen, of course, the community and neighborly bonds. This was to address the neighborly disconnects and to bring down social barriers. Third is to redefine kindness as a core character trait. This was to challenge the public to move beyond being just kind and view it as a fundamental and sustainable character trait. Number four was to promote digital mindfulness and cyber kindness. This was to educate the younger generations to be mindful of one's words in the digital space and to also practice being kind online. Last was to, it's not limited to raising the standards of the behavior. The key objective was to influence and raise the standards of responsibility And another area of influence was in the daily conduct amongst the residents. Let's now go to the third letter of our adaptive framework, letter A, assess the materials or pretest. So this was to ensure the clarity of the message or material for dissolving communication barriers. This was also to identify any hidden red flags and ensure financial resources were not being wasted on ineffective approaches. This was also to ensure that there was cultural alignment, not to cause any offense to any culture. And last was to ensure that the message's core resonates with both practitioner and also with the receiver. Now, using the assess lens, let's try to understand a little bit more about SKM. First one was the resignation of the mascot Singa. So originally Singa was the mascot, served as a face for polite, kind, and considerate Singapore. However, after much realization by SKM, they decided that the mascot had to resign and to shift the responsibility to the citizens themselves. In addressing the neighborly disconnects, SKM conducted a research and found out that 80% of the Singaporeans faced social barriers. And with this data assessment, the initiatives were targeted towards addressing this social challenge. Number three, they also used Google Forms to survey peers. Now, this usage of Google Forms was used by student-led projects in Raffles Girls' School to study about body positivity struggles. This ensured that the campaign's understanding phase aligned with the actual needs of the target audience. Number four, it was about assessing public service announcements or the PSA. This was to ensure that the PSAs transform complex social dynamics into digestible narratives and to show that the target audience that the gracious behavior was indeed achievable and impactful. Last but not the least was evaluating on visual resonances. In Write for Kindness campaign, the creative writing platform assessed on how stories and poems can positively impact preschoolers' character development, and that it is also immersive for the younger audiences. This is now the fourth letter in the adaptive framework, which is for plan or strategize. So for plan or strategize, this was used to ensure community ownership and to ensure that the activities are aligned to accomplish a common goal. This was to ensure that there was project continuity using contingency plans and to understand why some bad habits were hard to break. This was also to direct resources towards ready-to-act segments and to identify the benefits that outweigh the price of the change. Now, using the plan lens, let's try to understand more about SKM. Number one, SKM targeted different demographic tiers. SKM segmented their population from preschoolers to tertiary students to working professionals, and the messages were uniquely tailored to each tier group. Number two, SKM provided incentives through visible rewards. For the younger generation, SKM provided badges, the Kindness Badge Junior and Citizens of Kindness. Number three, SKM had nationwide visibility. In the Be Greater campaign, SKM utilized the cinema and television advertisements to extend the reach. Number four, SKM fostered deep community worship, and this was achieved by shifting the Friend of Singa or FOS to heavy planning scheme. Students designed and implemented their own campaigns. And number five, SKM had alternative ways of expressing gratitude. SKM actually identified the possible challenges for children with special needs on verbal communication. And they came up with this A Cup of Kindness, which was an alternate way, a non-verbal way of expressing gratitude. All right, let's now go to the next letter. Wait, let me count. This is the fifth letter, letter T, transact, in the adaptive framework. Transact or implement is to inculcate within the population to become agents of change themselves. This is to provide real-time feedback if the messages worked or otherwise, and to build trust between the organizers and the community. This is to realize the actual trading of old habits for good benefits. And this is to get first-hand view if people are actually receptive or hesitant to change, and to enable the community to be aware and be able for change to occur. Now let's try to see SKM through the transact or in the implement lens. First, Friend of Singa, the secondary program. Aside from learning about kindness, students also implemented their own year-long campaigns. They moved from passive recipients to becoming active kindness ambassadors. Number two, the project Kampung Linis. 16 groups of neighbors participated in weekly activities. The residents traded time and social hesitation for stronger community bonds. This is a good initiative, to be honest, to overcome neighborly disconnects. Number three, the real-time engagement in CK in TK campaign. An interactive game was implemented to explore consequences of different reactions to bullying, and the participants posted their reflections on Padlet, thus providing real-world validity check. And number four, trade convenience for responsibility. The main idea of this was to bring their own utensils instead of relying on or using disposables. This showcased the simple trading of disposables for moral and environmental benefits for many. And number five, using local talent in achievable scenarios. This showed targeted audiences or viewers of PSA or the public service announcements that behavior change was indeed possible using local talents, and this one encouraged viewers to enact the messages in their daily lives. Let us now go to the sixth letter, letter E, evaluate. This is to measure if the issue was really tackled or resolved, and to know if the movement failed or otherwise. This is also to justify the budgeting and the usage of the funds, and to measure if the awareness did increase, did attitudes shift, and did behaviors change. Now using the letter E, evaluate, let's check further on SKM. Number one, the Social Graciousness Index. SKM used the Graciousness Index score to evaluate whether national attitudes on kindness and social responsibilities actually changed. The scores were 68 over 100 for 2024-2025. Number two, Kindsville Times and AOK. The program delivered approximately 1.53 million newsletters. This was to justify the scale of its educational budget. Number three, formal program impact assessments. SKM implemented formal impact assessments for 33% of its programs. This includes, but it's not limited to, the participation counts and deep-seated behavioral changes. Number four, the usage of Padlet. In TK campaign, this was used to measure if there were increased confidence in peers in handling cyberbullying. And number five, monitoring mobilization metrics. More than 2,800 volunteer hours were recorded in 2024. This was used as evidence that population was moving from being passive awareness to active participation. And we have come to the last letter in the adaptive framework, the letter R, which stands for reiterate, also refine or reapply. This is to apply the lessons learned and to achieve greater impact, and to ensure that the movement remains relevant in fast-paced environments. This is to teach or train communities on how to mobilize themselves and to refine the tests by removing what didn't work and perfecting the model. And this is also to recalibrate messages so that they remain relevant. So one last time, please join me. Let's look at SKM using the reiterate lens. So number one, SKM as the successor of Singapore Courtesy Council. This was a shift in Singapore's national strategy from external courtesy slogans to internalizing kindness and consideration. Number two, revamping of Seed Kindness Fund Junior. This was changed to Citizens of Kindness program, and this was to better empower students through curated missions and applying lessons from previous models. Number three, Singa's resignation by open letter to the nation. This was a calculated move to avoid or prevent apathy. This was to ensure that the movement would still stay relevant. Number four, peers decided on the direction and ending of skits. In Anderson's secondary school, students used iterative approach for cyber kindness skits. The messages were adjusted real time to stay resonant with the audience. And number five, forward-looking sustainability roadmaps. SKM initiated this exercise to assess the current position. And the forward planning assures that the organization remains operationally effective and aligned with modern global standards. And there we have it. We have completed the discussion on comparing or evaluating the Singapore Kindness Movement, or SKM, using the adapter framework. So once again, this is Ariel Herrera. Thank you very much for watching my video presentation. Till then, goodbye. Thank you so much.